The blood on Kang Ji-hoon's sleeve was definitely blood this time. He stepped onto the last subway car of the night, a designer diaper bag slung over his shoulder that probably cost more than most people's rent. The bag looked ridiculous against his tailored Tom Ford suit, especially with the dark stains splattered across the charcoal fabric. Min-seo's screams echoed through the nearly empty car, shrill and unrelenting. Ji-hoon didn't bother trying to comfort her anymore. He'd given up an hour ago. The handful of passengers took one look at him, the cold set of his jaw, the intricate tattoos peeking above his collar, the way he held himself like violence was always an option, and moved to the far end of the car. Smart. He adjusted his grip on the infant carrier, his daughter's face red and swollen from crying. She'd been screaming for 2 hours straight. Nothing worked. Not the bottle, not the pacifier, not the stupid white noise app his lieutenant had downloaded on his phone before Ji-hoon had put a bullet in his head 3 hours earlier. Naomi Carter heard the baby before she saw the man. She was slumped in a corner seat, her janitor's uniform still smelling like industrial cleaner and hospital antiseptic. Every muscle in her body ached. 16 hours. She'd worked a double shift because she needed the money, needed every penny for the lawyer who was supposed to help her get Marcus back. Fat lot of good that did. The judge had ruled in Derek's favor yesterday. Her ex-husband got full custody, and she got supervised visits every other weekend. Like she was the dangerous one. Like she was the one who'd walked out on their family. The baby's cries cut through her exhaustion, sharp and desperate. Naomi closed her eyes and tried to block it out. Not her problem. She had enough problems. But the crying didn't stop. It went on, the kind of desperate wailing that meant something was wrong. Naomi's hands clenched in her lap. She knew that cry. She'd heard it from Marcus when he was teething, when he had that ear infection, when he was scared and needed his mama. This baby needed someone. She opened her eyes and finally looked. The man holding the carrier was tall, broad-shouldered, and absolutely terrifying. Even sitting down, he radiated danger. His black hair was styled perfectly despite the late hour, and his suit probably cost what Naomi made in 6 months. But it was his eyes that made her stomach drop, flat, emotionless, like he'd seen terrible things and done worse. Everyone else on the train was pretending the screaming baby didn't exist. Naomi should do the same. She should mind her business and go home to her empty apartment. Instead, she stood up. Her legs carried her across the swaying car before her brain could catch up. The man's gaze snapped to her, sharp as a blade. Naomi froze. Up close, she could see the tattoos more clearly, serpents and symbols she didn't recognize, crawling up his neck. The stains on his suit were definitely blood. "Can I help?" The words came out softer than she intended. He stared at her for a long moment. "No." The baby screamed louder, arching her back in the carrier. Naomi's heart clenched. She sounds like she's in pain. She's always like this. His voice was cold, accented. "Korean, maybe. She doesn't like me." "Babies don't work like that," Naomi said before she could stop herself. "They cry when something's wrong." "May I?" She held out her hands, half expecting him to tell her to go to hell. Instead, his eyes narrowed, studying her. Looking for what, she didn't know. Threat? Weakness? Whatever he saw must have satisfied him because he lifted the carrier and set it on the seat between them. "If you can make her stop, be my guest." Naomi unbuckled the baby carefully. The little girl was maybe 6 months old, with a round face and delicate features. Her skin was hot to the touch, too hot. Fever. Naomi lifted her gently, supporting her head, and the baby's screams intensified for a moment before something shifted. The infant hiccuped, her cries stuttering as Naomi settled her against her chest. "Shoo, baby girl. I got you. You're okay." She swayed slightly, that old rhythm coming back like muscle memory. Her hand rubbed gentle circles on the baby's back while she hummed low in her throat. Not even a real song, just a melody that used to put Marcus to sleep. The baby's cries faded to whimpers, then to soft, shuddering breaths. Silence. Naomi looked up and found the man staring at her like she'd performed a miracle. She shifted the baby carefully, checking her diaper. When's the last time she was changed? I don't know. This morning? This morning? Naomi couldn't keep the judgment out of her voice. She opened the diaper and winced. She's got a terrible rash. It probably burns. And she's running a fever. You need to get her to a doctor. She has a doctor. Then why isn't she seeing them? Naomi reached for the diaper bag without thinking, found wipes and a fresh diaper. The man watched her work with that same unreadable expression. Poor baby. No wonder you were crying, sweetheart. She changed the diaper efficiently, cleaned the rash as gently as she could, and settled the baby back against her shoulder. The little girl made a soft cooing sound and snuggled closer. You're good with her. It wasn't a question. I have a son. Had. Past tense now, wasn't it? He's 3. Where is he? The question was too pointed, too invasive. Naomi looked at the man more carefully. Expensive suit. Expensive watch, Patek Philippe, probably worth more than her car. The tattoos. The blood. The way everyone avoided him. This man was dangerous. With his father, she said carefully. We're divorced. You have other children? No. Just Marcus. She shifted uncomfortably, suddenly very aware that she was alone with this man on a nearly empty subway car at midnight. Look, for the rash, try petroleum jelly and let her go diaper-free when you can. The fever, give her infant acetaminophen and keep her hydrated. If it doesn't break by morning, take her to urgent care. The baby was asleep now, her little body completely relaxed against Naomi's chest. It felt good. It felt like something she'd lost. What's your name? The man asked. Naomi. Naomi Carter. Do you have children, Naomi Carter? I just told you. Do you want more? Her breath caught. That's a weird question. Do you need work? What? The subway lurched to a stop. The man stood smoothly, taking the sleeping baby from her arms. The little girl protested, whimpering, but didn't wake. He settled her in the carrier with surprising gentleness, then reached into his jacket. Naomi's heart stopped. Gun. He's going for a gun. Instead, he pulled out a business card. I need someone like you. He pressed the card into her hand. His fingers were cold, and she noticed the scars across his knuckles. Come to this address tomorrow at 9 a.m. Don't be late. Wait, I don't. But he was already moving toward the doors, the carrier in one hand, the diaper bag over his shoulder. The doors slid open and he stepped onto the platform without looking back. I didn't say yes. Naomi called after him. He paused, turning just enough that she could see his profile. You will. Then he was gone. Naomi looked down at the card in her hand. Thick, expensive cardstock. Embossed lettering. Kang Import, Export LLC. And below it, an address in one of the wealthiest neighborhoods in the city. Her hand shook slightly as the subway pulled away from the station. She should throw the card away. Should forget this ever happened. Men like that, dangerous men with blood on their suits and emptiness in their eyes, were nothing but trouble. But she thought about the baby, burning with fever and crying from pain while her father didn't even know when she'd last been changed. She thought about Marcus, and supervised visits, and her empty apartment. She thought about the way the man had said, you will. Like he knew something about her that she didn't know herself. Naomi slipped the card into her pocket and closed her eyes for the rest of the ride home. She told herself she wouldn't go. She was already planning what to wear. If you are enjoying this video, do well to hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. Chapter 2. Naomi spent 3 hours researching Kang Import, Export LLC on her dying laptop. The company looked legitimate. Clean website. Business registration dating back 15 years. Imports of luxury goods from South Korea, furniture, textiles, artwork. There were even customer reviews praising their authenticity and quality. Nothing that screamed criminal enterprise. She told herself that was a good sign. Her landlord's eviction notice on the kitchen counter told her she didn't have a choice either way. 3 days to vacate or pay $2,400 in back rent. Naomi looked at her bank account, $247.18. She'd already picked up every extra shift available at the hospital. Already sold everything worth selling. The lawyer who was supposed to help her appeal the custody ruling wanted a $5,000 retainer she didn't have. She looked at the business card again, still sitting where she'd left it on the table. 9 a.m. Don't be late. At 8:47 a.m., Naomi stood outside a glass high-rise in a neighborhood where doormen wore better suits than she owned. Her nicest pair of jeans and a clean blouse suddenly felt shabby. She almost turned around 3 times. The doorman opened the door before she could run. "Ms. Carter? Mr. Kang is expecting you. Penthouse level." Of course he knew her name. The elevator was all mirrors and polished brass. Naomi watched her reflection rise 47 floors, her stomach dropping with each one. When the doors opened directly into a penthouse apartment, she forgot how to breathe. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the entire city. The furniture was all clean lines and expensive fabrics, leather, silk, things Naomi had only seen in magazines. Original artwork on the walls. A kitchen with marble countertops that probably cost more than her car. And in the middle of it all, sitting in a high chair wearing a pristine white onesie, was the baby from the subway. "You came." Ji-hoon emerged from what looked like a hallway. He was dressed down, black t-shirt, dark jeans, but somehow more intimidating than he'd been in the blood-stained suit. Maybe because now she could see the full sleeve of tattoos on his left arm, the way his muscles moved under his shirt, the casual confidence of a man completely in control of his environment. "I almost didn't," Naomi said honestly. "But you need the money." He gestured to a pristine white sofa. "Sit." It wasn't a request. Naomi sat, perching on the edge like she might need to run. Min-seo babbled from her high chair, banging a plastic spoon against the tray. She looked healthier than she had on the subway, no fever, clean and content. "You took her to the doctor." "You said to." Ji-hoon leaned against the kitchen island, arms crossed. "The rash is clearing up. No more fever." "That's good. I need a nanny." He said it like he was ordering coffee. "Live-in. Full-time care for Min-seo. Cooking, cleaning, whatever she needs." Naomi's hands twisted in her lap. "I'm not really qualified. I mean, I have experience with my son, but 5,000 a week." The number hit her like a physical blow. "I'm sorry, what?" $5,000. Weekly. Paid in cash. His expression didn't change. "Room and board included. You'll have your own bedroom and bathroom. Sundays off." Naomi's mind raced. 5,000 a week. 20,000 a month. That was more than she'd made in 2 months at the hospital, working herself to the bone. That was lawyer fees and back rent and money left over for Marcus, for the apartment she'd need to prove to the court she was stable. "That's too much," she said slowly. "For a nanny position, that's way too much. I'm aware of market rates." "So why?" "Min-seo's mother is dead." He said it without emotion, like he was stating the weather. "I work long hours. Unpredictable hours. I need someone I can trust, someone who won't ask questions, someone who will be there whenever I'm not." Red flag number 1. Someone who won't ask questions. "What happened to your last nanny?" She asked too many questions. Red flag number 2. Naomi looked at Min-seo, who was watching her with those dark, intelligent eyes. The baby smiled, reaching out her little hands. Something in Naomi's chest cracked open. I don't know. You're being evicted. Ji-hoon's voice was flat. 3 days. I had you researched last night. Ice slid down her spine. You what? Naomi Carter. 28. Divorced. Lost custody of your son 6 months ago. Currently working as a hospital janitor at Sacred Heart. 2 months behind on rent. Credit score in the toilet. No family in the city. He rattled off her entire life like he was reading a grocery list. You need this job. You had no right. I had every right. I'm trusting you with my daughter. He moved closer, and Naomi fought the urge to lean back. I need to know who you are. I could say the same thing. She forced herself to hold his gaze. What kind of import business pays nannies $5,000 a week? What kind of man shows up on a subway at midnight with blood on his suit? Something flickered in his eyes. Respect, maybe. Or warning. The kind of man who needs someone trustworthy. The kind of business that's very successful. He pulled out his phone, tapped something, and showed her the screen. A bank transfer interface, ready to send. I'll wire the first week's pay today. Moving deposit. You can start immediately. I haven't said yes. You will. The same words from the subway. The same certainty. Naomi looked at Min-seo again. The baby was starting to fuss, reaching for her. Without thinking, Naomi stood and went to the high chair, unbuckling her. Min-seo settled immediately against her chest, making that same soft cooing sound. She likes you, Ji-hoon said quietly. She doesn't like anyone. Babies need affection. Consistency. She has everything she needs. Except a parent who holds her. The words were out before Naomi could stop them. The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. Ji-hoon's jaw tightened, and for a second, Naomi thought she'd gone too far. Then he exhaled slowly. That's why I need you. He paused. There's one more thing. I'll cover your legal fees. Whatever you need to get your son back. I have lawyers on retainer. Good ones. And there it was. The trap closing around her. Naomi closed her eyes. $5,000 a week. Legal representation. A safe place to live. The chance to prove to the court she was stable, that she could provide for Marcus. All she had to do was ignore the blood, ignore the coldness in this man's eyes, ignore every instinct screaming that this was dangerous. Temporary, she heard herself say. Just until I get back on my feet. Of course. They both knew she was lying. I'll need to get my things from my apartment. I'll send someone. Ji-hoon pulled out his phone again. Give me the address. They'll have everything moved by tonight. I can do it myself. You start now. He looked at Min-seo, who had fallen asleep against Naomi's shoulder. She needs lunch in an hour. The kitchen is stocked. Your room is down the hall, last door on the right. Just like that, it was decided. Naomi spent the first week learning the rhythm of the penthouse. Min-seo woke at 6, needed 3 bottles a day, 2 naps, and constant attention. The baby was sweet-tempered when she was cared for, but Naomi noticed things. The way Min-seo would stiffen when Ji-hoon entered the room. The way she never reached for him, never cried for him. Ji-hoon provided everything, designer clothes, organic food, expensive toys. But he never played with her. Never held her unless absolutely necessary. He'd stand in the doorway sometimes, watching Naomi feed her or sing to her, his expression unreadable. Don't you want to hold her? Naomi asked once. That's what I pay you for. The penthouse had rules. Ji-hoon's office was always locked. When men in expensive suits came for meetings, Naomi was to take Min-seo to her room and stay there until they left. She never answered the door. Never asked about his business. She tried not to notice the way the men looked at Ji-hoon, with fear and respect. Tried not to hear the conversations in Korean that drifted down the hallway, all sharp consonants and cold tones. On her 7th night, Min-seo wouldn't settle. Naomi was walking her around the living room at 11 p.m. when she heard Ji-hoon's voice from his office. The door was cracked open, unusual. Naomi knew she should walk away. Should go back to her room. Instead, she moved closer. Ji-hoon was speaking Korean, his voice terrifyingly calm. She caught words here and there. Her Korean was non-existent, but some things translated. Numbers. Locations. And then, in English, clean it up. Tonight. No loose ends. Through the crack in the door, she saw him at his desk, wiping something off his hands with a white cloth. Red bloomed across the fabric. Blood. Naomi's breath caught. She should move. Should run. But her feet were frozen to the floor. Ji-hoon looked up. Their eyes met through the crack in the door. Time stopped. Naomi's heart hammered against her ribs. Min-seo made a soft sound against her shoulder, and it broke the spell. She started to turn, to flee, but Ji-hoon was already moving. He crossed the office in 3 strides and opened the door fully. Up close, she could see the blood on his hands, could smell the copper tang of it. Naomi. Her name was soft. Almost gentle. She couldn't speak. Couldn't breathe. Ji-hoon reached out slowly, giving her time to flinch away. When she didn't, he touched her cheek with clean fingers, tilting her face up to meet his eyes. You saw nothing, he whispered. Remember that, Naomi. For Min-seo's sake. His thumb brushed her cheekbone. And yours. His eyes were empty. Absolutely empty. And in that moment, Naomi understood exactly what kind of man she was working for. The kind who wiped blood off his hands at midnight. The kind who spoke about loose ends like they were problems to solve, not people to mourn. The kind who could touch her gently while promising violence. Do you understand? He asked softly. Naomi nodded, her throat too tight for words. Good. He let her go and stepped back. Put Min-seo to bed. Get some sleep. Then he closed the door, and she heard the lock click into place. Naomi stood in the hallway for a long moment, Min-seo warm and trusting against her chest. She thought about running. Thought about grabbing her things and disappearing into the night. But where would she go? Back to her evicted apartment? Back to having nothing? And what about Min-seo? What about this baby who smiled when she sang, who reached for her in the morning, who was being raised by a monster? Naomi walked to her room on shaking legs. She laid Min-seo in the expensive crib Ji-hoon had bought, watched her settle into sleep with her thumb in her mouth. 5,000 a week. Legal fees. A chance at getting Marcus back. All she had to do was see nothing. Say nothing. Survive. She touched her cheek where Ji-hoon's fingers had been and tried not to shake. Temporary, she told herself. This is temporary. The lock on Ji-hoon's office door said otherwise. If you are enjoying this video, do well to hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. Chapter 3. 2 months in, and Naomi still slept with one eye open. But Min-seo had wormed her way completely into her heart. The baby was 8 months old now, pulling herself up on furniture and babbling constantly. She had Ji-hoon's dark eyes but a sweetness that couldn't have come from him. Every morning, she'd squeal when Naomi came into her room, arms reaching up with absolute trust. It destroyed Naomi a little more each day. Ms. Carter? Ji-hoon's lawyer called during Min-seo's afternoon nap. The judge ruled in your favor. You'll have Marcus every weekend, starting this Friday. Naomi's knees went weak. She sat down hard on the nursery floor, phone pressed to her ear. Are you sure? Very sure. Joint custody. Your living situation, employment stability, and character references sealed it. Character references from a criminal. Employment from a man who wiped blood off his hands like it was nothing. But she was getting her son back. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you so much." When she hung up, she found Ji-hoon leaning in the doorway. She hadn't heard him come in. She never did. "Good news?" he asked. "I got him. I got Marcus." The words came out choked. "Weekends. Starting Friday." Something flickered across Ji-hoon's face, too quick to read. "Good. You'll need to baby-proof your room more. I'll have someone install safety gates." Then he was gone, already on his phone, making arrangements. Naomi sat there for a long moment, trying to reconcile the man who ordered safety gates with the man who'd threatened her in a blood-stained hallway. She was starting to realize they were the same person. The changes started small. Ji-hoon began coming home for breakfast. He'd watch her cook eggs and toast, Min-seo bouncing in her high chair, and actually sit down to eat with them. He didn't talk much, but he was there. He asked about her day. Remembered that she liked chamomile tea and kept it stocked. Noticed when she was tired and told her to sleep in, that he'd handle Min-seo's morning routine. And he watched her. Constantly. Those dark, unreadable eyes following her movements around the penthouse. "Why do you do that?" Naomi asked one morning, unnerved. "Do what?" "Stare at me like I'm a puzzle you're trying to solve." Ji-hoon set down his coffee. "Maybe you are. I'm just a nanny." "No," he said quietly. "You're not." He didn't elaborate. Naomi noticed other things too. The way his voice softened when he talked to her, even if it stayed cold with everyone else. How he'd stand just a little too close when they passed in the hallway. The expensive books that appeared on her nightstand, novels she'd mentioned wanting to read. It scared her more than the blood had. Because dangerous men who hurt people, she could handle. She knew to stay away from them. But dangerous men who brought you tea and remembered your favorite books? That was something else entirely. She was walking down the hall one afternoon, Marcus visiting for the first time, when she noticed a door she'd never really looked at before. White paint, brass handle. Always closed. Naomi tried the handle. Locked. But through the crack at the bottom, she could see light. Pink light, like from a nightlight. "You don't go in there." Naomi jumped. Mrs. Kim, the housekeeper who came 3 times a week, stood behind her with fresh towels. "I was just..." "No." Mrs. Kim shook her head firmly. Her English was broken but her meaning was clear. "Don't ask about babies, Very bad. Very sad. Mr. Kang, he..." She made a sharp gesture across her throat. Naomi's blood went cold. "He what?" But Mrs. Kim was already walking away, muttering in Korean. That night, after both kids were asleep, Marcus in a cot in her room, Min-seo in her crib, Naomi pulled out her laptop. She'd avoided this. Told herself it was none of her business. But that locked room. Mrs. Kim's warning. The way Ji-hoon never, ever talked about Min-seo's mother. Naomi typed, Kang Ji-hoon wife. One article. From 8 months ago. Socialite Yuna Park dies in tragic car accident. The photo showed a beautiful Korean woman with delicate features and a bright smile. She was at some charity gala, wearing a designer gown, looking vibrant and alive. Yuna Park, 29, wife of prominent businessman Kang Ji-hoon, died last night when her vehicle collided with a barrier on Highway 15. Park was 6 months pregnant at the time of the accident. Both she and her unborn child were pronounced dead at the scene. Naomi read it 3 times. 6 months pregnant. 8 months ago. She looked at the dates again, did the math in her head. Min-seo was 8 months old. If Yuna died 6 months pregnant, Min-seo should have died with her. Unless... Naomi's hands shook as she closed the laptop. She thought about that locked nursery, painted pink. Untouched. A shrine to a dead woman and a baby who shouldn't exist. She couldn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Yuna's smile in that photo and heard Mrs. Kim's voice. Very bad. Very sad. Around midnight, she heard Ji-hoon come home. His footsteps in the hallway, the clink of a glass. Then, faintly, she heard singing. Naomi slipped out of bed, careful not to wake Marcus. She followed the sound to Min-seo's room. The door was cracked open. Ji-hoon sat in the rocking chair with Min-seo in his arms, singing softly in Korean. A lullaby, gentle and sad. Naomi had heard that lullaby before. Mrs. Kim had taught it to her last week. She must have made a sound because Ji-hoon's head snapped up. Their eyes met across the dimly lit room. "I'm sorry," Naomi whispered. "I heard her crying." "She wasn't crying." "I know." Naomi stepped into the room. "That song. It's beautiful. Yuna used to sing it. He said his dead wife's name like it hurt. When she was pregnant." The air between them felt charged with something dangerous. Naomi should leave. Should go back to her room and forget this conversation. Instead, she sang the lullaby softly, the Korean words strange in her mouth but the melody true. Ji-hoon went absolutely still. Min-seo, drowsy in his arms, made a soft sound and settled deeper against his chest. "Where did you learn that?" His voice was barely a whisper. "Mrs. Kim taught me. Min-seo likes it." Ji-hoon stood abruptly, laying Min-seo in her crib with surprising gentleness. Then he walked past Naomi without a word, disappearing into his office. The door didn't lock this time. Naomi checked on both children, made sure they were sleeping, then headed back to her room. She was almost there when Ji-hoon appeared in the hallway. He was drunk. She could smell the whiskey, see it in the loose set of his shoulders. "You remind me of someone I destroyed," he said. Naomi froze. "Ji-hoon. Yuna was pregnant with another man's child." The words came out flat, emotionless. "My lieutenant. David Chen. They'd been fucking for months before I found out." Horror washed over her. "You don't have to. I made her watch while I killed him." Ji-hoon leaned against the wall, his eyes unfocused. "Took my time with it. Wanted her to understand what betrayal cost." Naomi's stomach turned. "Stop." She went into labor right there. On the floor of my warehouse, surrounded by David's blood. Screaming. Begging me to save the baby. He laughed, sharp and bitter. "My doctor delivered Min-seo at 7 months. Miracle she survived. And Yuna? Car accident. 3 days later." His eyes focused on Naomi, and they were empty. Completely empty. Very tragic. Very convenient. The words hung in the air like a confession and a threat. Naomi thought about that locked nursery. About Yuna's smile in the photo. About a woman who'd betrayed a monster and paid with her life. "Min-seo isn't mine," Ji-hoon said flatly. "She's a bastard. David Chen's daughter." He pushed off the wall, moving closer. "But she's useful. Chen's family is powerful. They've been looking for her, but they don't know she survived. As long as they don't know, as long as she's alive, they won't move against me. It's insurance." Naomi couldn't breathe. What happens when she's not useful anymore? Ji-hoon made a cutting gesture across his throat, the same one Mrs. Kim had made. The floor tilted beneath Naomi's feet. She grabbed the wall for support, bile rising in her throat. "You're going to kill her." It wasn't a question. "When the time comes." He said it like he was discussing the weather. "Could be years. Could be months. Depends on the Chens. She's a baby. She's innocent. She's leverage." Ji-hoon moved closer, and Naomi could smell the whiskey on his breath. "And you're going to keep her alive and healthy until I decide otherwise. That's why I pay you, Naomi." That's why you're here. Naomi's back hit the wall. She thought about running, about grabbing both children and fleeing into the night. But where would she go? And how long before Ji-hoon found her? I won't help you kill her, she whispered. You already are. His hand came up, cupping her face with surprising gentleness. Every day you feed her, care for her, keep her healthy, you're keeping my insurance policy alive. You're complicit. The truth of it hit her like a punch. He was right. She'd been so focused on the money, on getting Marcus back, that she'd missed what she really was. A caretaker for a child on death row. Why are you telling me this? Her voice broke. Because you needed to know. Ji-hoon's thumb brushed her cheekbone, and she hated how her body responded to the touch. Because I'm tired of pretending. And because. He paused, something almost human flickering in his eyes. Because you sang Yuna's lullaby, and for a second, I forgot what I am. Then he was gone, stumbling back to his office, leaving Naomi shaking in the hallway. She went to Min-seo's room and stood over the crib. The baby slept peacefully, thumb in her mouth, completely unaware that her life hung by a thread. Leverage. Insurance. A bastard child kept alive only until her usefulness expired. Naomi touched Min-seo's soft hair and made a decision. She didn't know how yet. Didn't know when. But she was going to save this baby. Even if it killed her. If you are enjoying this video, do well to hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. Chapter 4. Naomi spent 3 days researching witness protection before she realized it was useless. The FBI didn't just hand out new identities to nannies who worked for criminals. They needed evidence, testimony, cooperation. And the moment Ji-hoon found out she'd gone to the authorities, because he would find out, Min-seo would be dead before the ink dried on the paperwork. She deleted her browser history and tried a different approach. The penthouse felt smaller every day. Ji-hoon was around more, his presence suffocating. He'd appear in doorways, watching her play with Min-seo. He brought home expensive things, a cashmere sweater in exactly her size, diamond earrings she'd never wear, books she'd mentioned once in passing. You don't have to do this, Naomi said when he presented her with a designer handbag that probably cost more than her car. I know. Ji-hoon set it on the counter. I want to. The scariest part was how normal it felt. Morning coffee together. Him asking about Marcus's last visit. The way he'd stand too close in the kitchen, his hand brushing her lower back as he reached for a mug. You're irreplaceable, he told her one night, his voice soft. You know that, right? Naomi forced a smile. I'm just doing my job. No. You're not. His eyes were intense, searching. You care about her. About Min-seo. I see it. Because she did care. That was the problem. She cared about a baby who was living on borrowed time, and she was sleeping under the same roof as the man who'd decide when that time ran out. That night, she woke to find Ji-hoon in her room. Standing by her bed, just watching her in the darkness. Her heart hammered, but she kept her breathing steady. Pretended to sleep. He reached out, his fingers brushing hair back from her face. Then he leaned down and pressed a kiss to her forehead, gentle, almost reverent. I'm sorry, he whispered. For all of it. Then he was gone. Naomi lay awake until dawn, her skin crawling where his lips had touched. She was running out of time. She could feel it. Mrs. Kim found her in the kitchen 3 days later, making Min-seo's lunch. The housekeeper looked agitated, kept glancing toward Ji-hoon's office. Miss Naomi, she said quietly. I need tell you something. Naomi set down the bottle. What is it? Chen family. They looking for baby. Mrs. Kim's English was rushed, nervous. David Chen's parents. They know about affair. They know Yuna pregnant. They want granddaughter. Naomi's pulse quickened. They know Min-seo's alive? No. But they looking. They hire people, ask questions. Mrs. Kim gripped Naomi's arm. If they find out, there will be war. Big war. Many people die. Would they hurt Min-seo? No. Mrs. Kim looked horrified. They won't raise her. Give her good life. She is their blood. Their blood. Not Ji-hoon's. A family who wanted Min-seo not as leverage, but as their grandchild. How do I find them? Naomi asked before she could stop herself. Mrs. Kim's eyes widened. Very dangerous, Miss Naomi. Mr. Kang, he find out. How do I find them? Mrs. Kim pulled out her phone with shaking hands, showed Naomi a contact. Chin Family Restaurant. Chinatown. You call this number, ask for Mrs. Chin. But please, be careful. Mr. Kang has eyes everywhere. Naomi memorized the number and deleted it from her own phone's history. That night, she used a burner phone bought with cash from a bodega 3 neighborhoods over. A woman answered in Mandarin. Naomi's hands shook. I have information about David Chen's daughter, she said. She's alive. Silence. Then, who is this? Someone who wants to help. I can bring her to you, but it has to be soon. And it has to be safe. Where? Naomi named a public park, a time when Marcus would be visiting. I'll have my son with me. You come alone, or I disappear and you never hear from me again. How do I know this isn't a trap? You don't. But she's 8 months old, has her father's eyes, and she deserves better than what she has. Another pause. 2 days. Saturday. Noon. The line went dead. Naomi destroyed the burner phone and buried the pieces in 3 different dumpsters. She had 48 hours to figure out how to get both kids out of the penthouse without Ji-hoon noticing. 48 hours to save a little girl's life. She almost made it. Friday night, Ji-hoon came home covered in blood again. But this time, he had 2 of his men with him, dragging someone between them. A young Asian man, barely conscious, face swollen from beating. Naomi grabbed Min-seo and retreated to the nursery, heart pounding. She heard shouting, heard Ji-hoon's voice, cold and controlled, asking questions in Korean. Then she heard screaming. She covered Min-seo's ears and sang lullabies, trying to drown out the sounds. The baby whimpered, sensing her fear. It went on for hours. When silence finally fell, Naomi's door slammed open. Ji-hoon stood there, gun in hand, eyes wild. Blood splattered across his shirt, his face. Behind him, she could see his men cleaning up, tarps, buckets, the efficient practice of people who'd done this before. Where is it? His voice was deadly quiet. Where's what? Naomi held Min-seo tighter. Don't fucking lie to me. He moved into the room, and she saw the rage beneath his control. That piece of shit downstairs was Chin family. A spy. Been watching the building for weeks. He grabbed her arm, yanking her close. He said someone inside my house has been communicating with them. Someone's been making calls. Naomi's blood turned to ice. I don't know what. Don't. The gun pressed against her ribs. Don't insult me, Naomi. I know it was you. Min-seo started crying. Naomi's mind raced, searching for an escape, a lie, anything. But Ji-hoon's eyes were too knowing. Too certain. Why? He demanded. After everything I've given you. Given me? Something broke inside her. You've given me nothing but nightmares. You keep a baby alive as insurance, you murder people and wash blood off your hands like it's nothing, her voice cracked. You were going to kill her. I heard you say it. So you sold me out to the Chens. I'm trying to save her. Tears streamed down Naomi's face. She deserves a family who loves her, not a monster who's counting down the days until she's no longer useful. Ji-hoon stared at her for a long moment. Min-seo's cries filled the silence. Then he lowered the gun. You think I don't know that? His voice was rough. You think I don't see it every time she smiles at you? Every time she reaches for you instead of me? He moved to the window, shoulders tense. Naomi stayed frozen, Min-seo clutched to her chest. When's the meeting? Ji-hoon asked. Tomorrow. Noon. There was no point lying now. And your plan was what? Hand her over and hope they don't kill you? Hope I don't find you? He turned, and something in his expression made her breath catch. You're the first person who ever tried to save her. Then let me. Naomi's voice shook. Let me take her to them. They're her family. They'll start a war the second they have her. Ji-hoon sat on her bed, head dropping into his hands. The gun dangled loosely from his fingers. The Chens have been waiting for an excuse to move on my territory. Min-seo is that excuse. The moment they confirm she's alive, everyone I know dies. Including you. So what do we do? The question hung in the air. Naomi should be running. Should be calling the police, grabbing both kids and fleeing. But she was trapped in this room with a murderer who looked broken and a baby who was loved by no one but her. Ji-hoon looked up, and his eyes were different. Clearer. Decided. Help me disappear. What? Take Min-seo and Marcus somewhere safe. New identities, new lives. I have money, offshore accounts, assets the family doesn't know about. Enough for all of us to disappear and never be found. He stood, moved closer. I'll give you everything. Protection, security, freedom. We can all get out. Naomi's mind reeled. You're talking about running from your own family. They'll hunt you. Let them. His hand came up, cupping her face. I'm tired, Naomi. Tired of the blood, the violence, the empty fucking penthouse. I look at you with Min-seo and I see. He swallowed hard. I see what I could have had. What I destroyed. This is insane. I know. His thumb brushed her cheek. But you're the only person I trust. The only person who sees Min-seo as more than a pawn. Naomi wanted to push him away. Wanted to scream that he was a monster, a murderer, someone beyond redemption. But his eyes were desperate. Human. And Min-seo was still crying in her arms. What's the catch? She whispered. Ji-hoon's expression hardened. The Chin family leaders. David's parents and his two brothers. They have to die before we run. All of them. Naomi's stomach dropped. No. It's the only way. If even one survives, they'll never stop hunting us. They'll find Min-seo, and when they do, I won't help you kill people. Then we all die here. Ji-hoon's voice was flat. The Chens, my family, everyone. This ends in blood, Naomi. The only question is whose. He pulled out his phone, showed her photos. An older couple at a restaurant. Two men in suits. Chin family leaders. I'll do it, he said quietly. I'll pull the trigger. All I need is for you to get close enough. You're not on their radar. You can walk right up to them. You're asking me to be an accomplice to murder. I'm asking you to save Min-seo's life. And Marcus's. And yours. His hand tightened on her arm. Because if we don't move first, they will. And when they do, they'll kill everyone associated with me. Including the nanny and her son. Naomi looked down at Min-seo, who had quieted, nestled against her chest with absolute trust. She thought about Marcus, asleep in his cot, innocent and unaware. She thought about running. About witness protection. About going to the police. All paths led to death. How long do I have to decide? She whispered. Ji-hoon's eyes were dark. Certain. Until tomorrow at noon. When you're supposed to meet the Chens. He stepped back. You walk into that park, you make a choice. Give them Min-seo and start a war. Or help me end this, and we all disappear. He left her there, holding a baby who wasn't hers but might as well be. Naomi didn't sleep that night. By dawn, she'd made her choice. God forgive her. If you are enjoying this video, do well to hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. Chapter 5. Naomi stared at the small vial in her hand. Clear liquid. Odorless. Deadly. 2 drops per glass, Ji-hoon said, his voice clinical. They'll collapse within minutes. Heart failure. Clean. Clean. As if there was anything clean about murder. They were in his office, the door locked, Marcus and Min-seo asleep down the hall. Ji-hoon had spread out blueprints of the Chin family's restaurant, photos of their usual routines, schedules for the charity gala tomorrow night. The event is at the Metropolitan Museum, he continued. Black tie. The Chens will be at table 12. You'll be serving champagne. How did you? I bought the catering company 3 days ago. He said it like he was discussing the weather. You'll have a uniform, credentials, everything you need. Get close, pour the drinks, walk away. Naomi's hands shook. And then what? Then we disappear. I have a plane waiting at a private airfield. By the time their bodies are found, we'll be halfway across the Pacific. He pulled up documents on his laptop. Bank accounts in the Cayman Islands. Properties in New Zealand, Argentina, Thailand. Enough money to live comfortably for several lifetimes. I've been planning this for 2 years, Ji-hoon admitted. Since Yuna died. Since I realized what I'd become. He looked at her, and his eyes were raw. I just needed a reason to actually do it. And I'm that reason. You and Min-seo. Yes. He reached for her hand. I know what I'm asking. I know what it costs. But this is the only way out where we all survive. Naomi pulled away. There has to be another option. There isn't. His voice hardened. The Chens die, or we do. Choose. She looked at the vial again. 4 people's lives, measured in drops of poison. 4 people who wanted to raise their granddaughter. Who were searching for family, not revenge. But Ji-hoon was right about one thing: the moment they found Min-seo, there would be war. And in that war, innocent people would die. Marcus would die. Naomi closed her fingers around the vial. Teach me, she whispered. Teach me how to do this. The next 36 hours were a blur. Ji-hoon trained her with ruthless efficiency, how to move through a crowd unnoticed, how to keep her hands steady, how to breathe through terror. He bought her an elegant black dress, taught her to serve champagne with the grace of someone who belonged. Made her practice until her movements were smooth, natural. Look at me, he said the night before, gripping her shoulders. You can do this. You're stronger than you know. I'm a murderer. Her voice broke. No. You're a mother protecting her children. He pulled her close, his lips against her temple. That's all you are. Remember that. But lying in bed that night, Naomi knew the truth. She was both. The Metropolitan Museum glittered with wealth and excess. Naomi moved through the crowd in her server's uniform, a tray of champagne flutes balanced perfectly in her hands. Table 12. The Chens. Mrs. Chen was elegant in navy silk, her husband distinguished in a tuxedo. David's brothers flanked them, younger, sharper, with their father's eyes. Naomi's heart hammered so hard she thought everyone could hear it. Champagne? Her voice came out steady. Practiced. Mrs. Chen smiled at her. Kind. Warm. Thank you, dear. Naomi poured, her hands absolutely still. 2 drops in each glass, dissolved instantly in the golden liquid. The brothers took theirs without looking at her. Mr. Chen nodded his thanks. 4 glasses. 4 lives. Enjoy your evening, Naomi said, and walked away on legs that barely held her. She made it to the service hallway before her vision tunneled. She watched from behind a pillar as the Chens raised their glasses in a toast. Saw them drink. Saw them smile and laugh, unaware. Then Mrs. Chen's hand went to her chest. Her husband's face turned gray. The brothers stood, confused, trying to help, then they collapsed too. Chaos erupted. Screaming. People rushing forward. Security calling for ambulances. Naomi ran. She found the bathroom and vomited until there was nothing left. Her whole body shook. She saw their faces, Mrs. Chen's kind smile, the way Mr. Chen had thanked her, and vomited again. Naomi. Ji-hoon was there, pulling her up, holding her while she sobbed into his blood-free shirt. I killed them, she gasped. Oh God, I killed them. You're free now. His voice was rough in her ear. We all are. He got her out through the service entrance, into a waiting car. The city blurred past as they drove to collect the children, then to the airfield. Naomi couldn't stop shaking. By the time they boarded the private plane, Marcus still drowsy from sleep and Min-seo confused but quiet, Naomi felt hollowed out. Empty. Where are we going? Marcus asked, rubbing his eyes. On an adventure, Ji-hoon said gently. Somewhere with beaches and sunshine. Cool, Marcus mumbled, and fell back asleep against Naomi's shoulder. She looked at Ji-hoon across the aisle, this monster who'd made her into one too, and felt nothing but exhaustion. 3 weeks later, Naomi stood on a beach in New Zealand, watching Marcus chase waves. The coastal town was small, quiet. Their house overlooked the ocean, modest compared to the penthouse, but comfortable. Safe. Ji-hoon had transformed. He played with Marcus, building elaborate sandcastles and teaching him to fish. He held Min-seo for hours, singing Korean lullabies while she slept. He cooked dinner, asked about Naomi's day, tucked both children into bed with gentle kisses. He was everything a father should be. And Naomi could barely look at him. Every night, she saw the Chen's faces. Mrs. Chen's kind smile. The way they'd collapsed, clutching their chests. She'd wake up gasping, drenched in sweat, and find Ji-hoon watching her from across the room. It gets easier, he'd say. But she didn't want it to get easier. Didn't want to become someone who could kill and move on. Min-seo called her Mama now. Marcus was happy, thriving in the sunshine and freedom. They were safe. And Naomi was drowning in guilt. Family beach day. Marcus announced one morning, dragging both her and Ji-hoon toward the shore. Naomi went through the motions. Helped Marcus collect shells. Held Min-seo while she giggled at the waves. Tried to smile when Ji-hoon caught her eye. They looked like a normal family. Like people who belonged together. Like people who hadn't built their happiness on 4 graves. That evening, while the kids played in the sand, Naomi finally broke. I can't do this, she whispered to Ji-hoon. I can't pretend everything's okay. I killed them. I murdered 4 people. Naomi. Don't. She pulled away. Don't tell me it was necessary. Don't tell me it gets easier. I see their faces every time I close my eyes. Ji-hoon was quiet for a long moment. Then he reached for his phone, pulled up a news article, and handed it to her. Chen family leaders arrested on federal racketeering charges. Naomi's hands went numb. What? They're alive. Ji-hoon's voice was soft. I switched the poison for a sedative. Strong enough to look like cardiac arrest, but harmless. They were arrested when they woke up in the hospital, anonymous tip about their criminal operations, supported by documents I'd been collecting for months. The world tilted. You lied to me. Yes. I thought I killed them. Naomi's voice rose. For 3 weeks, I thought I was a murderer. I know. He moved closer. And I'm sorry. But I needed you to believe it. Needed you to commit fully to leaving. If you'd known they'd survive, you might have hesitated. Might have tried to contact them. Naomi stared at him, fury and relief warring in her chest. You manipulated me. I protected you. Ji-hoon touched her face gently. I could never let you become like me, Naomi. Could never let you carry that weight. You did the unthinkable, you made a monster want to be a man. She slapped him. The crack echoed across the beach. Marcus and Min-seo looked over, and Naomi forced a smile until they went back to playing. You had no right, she hissed. I had every right. You're mine to protect. His cheek was red from her hand, but his eyes were steady. I love you. And I won't apologize for keeping your soul clean. Love? The word felt foreign. You don't know what that word means. I didn't. Until you. He caught her hand. Until I watched you care for a child who wasn't yours. Until you risked everything to save her. Until you looked at me like I could be more than what I was. Naomi's anger cracked. Because underneath it was relief, sweet, terrible relief that she wasn't a killer after all. And underneath that was something darker. Something that had been growing for months. I hate you, she whispered. I know. She kissed him anyway. It was angry and desperate, 3 months of fear and tension and impossible feelings finally breaking free. Ji-hoon pulled her close, his hands in her hair, and kissed her back like she was oxygen. When they broke apart, both breathless, Naomi pressed her forehead to his. If you ever lie to me again, she said quietly, I'll finish what I started with the Chens. Starting with you. Ji-hoon smiled, really smiled, for the first time since she'd met him. I wouldn't expect anything less. They stood there on the beach, watching Marcus teach Min-seo how to dig in the sand. The little girl laughed, reaching for her brother with chubby hands. Marcus was patient, gentle, already protective of his new sister. What are we? Naomi asked. Broken, Ji-hoon said honestly. But trying to be whole. That's not very romantic. I'm not a romantic man. He pulled her closer, his chin resting on her head. But I'm yours. And they're ours. And maybe that's enough. Maybe it was. Maybe 2 broken people could build something good from the wreckage of their sins. Maybe a monster could learn to be a man, and a woman who'd almost become a killer could learn to forgive herself. The sun set over the ocean, painting everything gold and orange. Marcus called them over to see his sandcastle, elaborate, with towers and moats and shells for decoration. Min-seo clapped her hands, delighted. Come on, Mama. Marcus shouted. And, He looked at Ji-hoon uncertainly. Ji-hoon said softly. You can call me Ji. Come on, Ji. Help us. Naomi watched Ji-hoon's face transform, surprise, then something that might have been joy. He looked at her, questioning. She nodded. They joined their children in the sand, building something together from nothing. Their future was uncertain, built on lies and blood money and choices that would haunt them. But as Min-seo giggled and Marcus chattered and Ji-hoon's hand found hers in the sand, Naomi felt something she hadn't felt in years. Hope. Dangerous, fragile, impossible hope. Thank you, Ji-hoon whispered as the first stars appeared. For saving us all. Naomi squeezed his hand, watching their children play. Thank you for saving me, she whispered back. From herself. From becoming something she couldn't come back from. They were broken. They were flawed. They were built on sins and secrets. But they were together. And for now, that was everything. If you enjoyed this video and wants to see more videos like this, kindly hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. Do well to drop your thoughts in the comments section below and share this video to family and friends.